The Center for Journalism Ethics is deeply committed to promoting high standards in journalism, and this award program is a big part of that. Our finalist stories are the finest examples of ethical journalistic practice, and they are impressive in every way.
We're so honored at the Center for Journalism Ethics that we get to commemorate Anthony Shadid and his work, and that his name and his legacy live on in this prize. At a time when sometimes we see journalism coming under threat, we get the chance to honor journalists who are taking such care with their stories.
I'm very proud to be a part of a community that keeps care and ethics at the very heart of its practice, and to celebrate these Shadid Award finalists.
For 150 years, the United States government forced Native American children into Indian boarding schools. A lot of people don't know about these schools, but thousands of Native American children were mistreated, abused, sexually abused, and died in Indian boarding schools.
In our investigation, we found that 3,100 children had died at these Indian boarding schools. And the biggest ethical challenge we had was to figure out, should we or should we not publish those names in the documents that we found? And ultimately, in the name of shedding a light on this dark history, that we would in fact publish the materials, the names of the children, as well as details of the raw materials we had found in our investigation.
2 weeks after our first story, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops apologized for the Catholic Church's role in Indian boarding schools. Then in October, for the first time in American history, President Biden formally apologized for Indian boarding schools, calling them a sin on our souls.
So our investigation really explored the way that major health systems respond to patient allegations of sexual abuse. Several major health systems in Illinois had allowed healthcare workers who were accused of abuse to keep seeing patients unsupervised.
We anticipated that some of the survivors would want to remain anonymous, and in those cases, we worked to be very careful to keep them anonymous, and we made sure they were comfortable with the details of their situations that were being included in their stories.
So working on the visuals for this project was difficult because it involved photographing sexual assault survivors. A lot of times before I ever took a photograph of them, I would sit down and meet with them and show them ways that we can photograph them in a way that's non-identifiable.
A law has been changed in the state of Illinois. 2 state agencies said that they were going to make changes in how they do things. I think all of that, is why you do this. Like your stories can lead to real change, and that can, make a difference in people's lives.
For our reporting to investigate the effects of abortion bans, we had to ask people to share some of the most intimate and painful details of their lives. It was important to respect their pain and the concerns that they might have, but we were also firm in that we believed it was in the public's interest to investigate and ultimately for the world to understand what had happened as a result of these laws. I think we demonstrated this respect by repeatedly showing up, listening, being patient, explaining our process and what the work of journalism is. Sometimes our work requires us to reach out to people who have been through trauma, and in some cases they may even push us away out of fear. And this has to be respected, but we also have a duty to the truth and to the public. And if you think that there is wrongdoing or injustice that needs to be investigated, don't give up.
We learned that many of these kids who were addicted to fentanyl weren't able to access life-saving medication like buprenorphine. One of the things that we learned was that prescribers in Washington were really hesitant to prescribe to kids. We also found out that there was a severe lack of addiction treatment beds for this population. One of the things that we faced over and over was trying to figure out how to report ethically and responsibly with a population who we felt was pretty close to death in a number of circumstances.
We always strive to help readers connect with an issue directly with those who are affected, and in this case, protecting these vulnerable youth was the first priority.
We made sure to, respect the vulnerability of the kids we were speaking with and the stories that they were sharing with us.
My article, The Deserter, explores the experiences of Russian soldiers who chose to flee rather than continue to fight in Ukraine. For over a year, I reported in 8 countries across 4 continents, interviewing 18 Russian military deserters, and tried to reveal the human consequence of war from the perspective of those who've chosen to defy an authoritarian system at great personal risk. In reporting this story, I faced significant ethical and security challenges, from gaining the trust of deeply skeptical deserters to protecting them from Russian state security services. To safeguard my sources, I anonymized identifying details and consulted with them about the potential risks. Despite these challenges, I hope my work demonstrates the spirit of Anthony Shadid's journalism, that ethical journalism can expose critical truths while protecting those most at risk.
It's such an honor to do this work, and I'm so pleased that the Center for Journalism Ethics is hopefully going to be able to do that for a long time to come.
It is an honor to carry on Anthony Shadid's legacy.